Leela was 9 years old, with a habit of noticing things others missed, like the way ants marched in perfect rows, or how clouds sometimes looked like dragons holding their breath. On an ordinary Tuesday, while kicking pebbles along the cracked sidewalk on her way home from school, she spotted something odd. A single dandelion, bright as a tiny sun, growing through a seam in the concrete. It wasn't there yesterday. She knelt down, her backpack sliding off one shoulder, and squinted. The dandelion shimmered, not like a flower caught in sunlight, but like it was glowing from the inside, pulsing with a secret. She reached out, her fingers brushing the soft petals, and the world wobbled. The air turned warm and sweet, like honey on toast, and the sidewalk vanished. "What's the whisperwood?" she asked, looking up at the glowing trees. "Come on, I'll show you." Leela followed, her sneakers sinking into the moss. The forest seemed to shift around her, like it was alive, making new paths just for her. They passed a pond where lily pads glowed like lanterns, and frogs sang in harmony, their voices like a choir. A deer with antlers made of crystal winked at her, and a squirrel tossed her an acorn that felt warm, like it held a tiny heartbeat. Fireflies danced in spirals, leaving trails of light that formed pictures in the air castles, ships, a laughing face, before fading away. At its base sat a creature so strange, Lila couldn't help but stare. It was like a bear, but its fur was woven from vines. A warmth spread through her, like drinking hot cocoa on a snowy day. "Then take this," the guardian said, pressing a tiny seed into her hand. She whispered to it, promising to be brave, to believe in her spark. Days passed, and a tiny sprout appeared, glowing faintly in the dark. Leela smiled, knowing it was more than a plant. It was a piece of the whisperwood, a reminder that magic was real if you knew how to look. It glowed faintly, like the dandelion had. Plant it somewhere ordinary. Let it remind you to see the extraordinary. The world felt bigger now, full of hidden wonders waiting for her to find them. And somewhere, in a forest only kids could see, the trees sang her name, cheering her on. And flowers, and its eyes were kind, like her grandma's when she told stories by the fire. She blinked, and she was back on the sidewalk, the dandelion still glowing at her feet. The seed was in her palm, warm and real. She looked around. No one else seemed to notice anything strange. Grown-ups hurried by, staring at their phones, and cars honked in the distance. But Leela felt different, like she carried a secret song inside her. "This is Elderglow," Flicker whispered. "The guardian of the whisperwood." It was the kind of racing heart you get when you're about to open a present you didn't expect. "Hello?" she called, her voice small but curious. The forest seemed to listen, the song of the trees pausing for a moment. "Welcome, Lila. Few find their way here. Fewer still stay." She thought about how she'd stopped raising her hand in class, worried her ideas were silly. But here, in the whisperwood, her ideas didn't feel silly. They felt like magic. She nodded. "I'll try." The guardian leaned closer, petals falling from its fur. The whisperwood shows itself to those who are kind, who listen to the world's quiet wonders. But it asks something of you in return. Then, from behind a trunk as wide as her bedroom, a creature hopped out. It was a fox, but not like any fox in her animal books. To believe in yourself, even when the world feels heavy. To carry the spark of this place back with you. Will you try? Its fur was the color of a sunset, all oranges and pinks, and its eyes twinkled like they held tiny galaxies. "Well, hello there, Leela," it said, its voice bright and musical, like it was about to tell a joke. Leela blinked, and instead of pavement, she stood on a path of moss so soft it felt like walking on a cloud. Towering trees stretched above her, their leaves sparkling with flecks of gold, like stars caught in daytime. "Of course I do. I'm Flicker, and this is the whisperwood. Only kids can see it, you know. Grown-ups forget how to look." Flicker bounded closer, sniffing her sneakers. "You're here because you noticed the dandelion. That means you've got the spark, the kind of heart that sees what's hidden." The forest hummed not with the buzz of bugs or the chirp of birds, but with a melody, low and gentle, as if the trees themselves were singing. Lila's heart raced. She wasn't scared, though. Not exactly. Lila froze. You know my name?" The fox tilted its head, its tail swishing. Lila's cheeks warmed. She wasn't sure she had any spark, but the way Flicker said it made her want to believe it. "It's a place for dreamers," Flicker said, trotting down the path. Flicker led her to a clearing where a massive tree stood, its trunk carved with swirls that looked like stories. Elderglow's voice rumbled like a faraway storm, gentle but strong. Lila swallowed. "What does it want?" Elderglow smiled, and the clearing seemed to glow brighter. Lila thought about school, about how she sometimes felt small when kids laughed at her for daydreaming or talking to flowers. Elderglow reached out, placing a paw on her shoulder. Before Lila could ask more, the forest shimmered and the world wobbled again. That evening, she planted the seed in a cracked flower pot on her windowsill. And sometimes, when the moon was full, Lila swore she heard Flicker's laugh or saw Elderglow's kind eyes in her dreams. The world felt bigger now, full of hidden wonders waiting for her to find them. And somewhere, in a forest only kids could see, the trees sang her name, cheering her on.